All right. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us again. So from the treacherous twisties back to the oval, we have Ryan Blaney here with us this morning ahead of Richmond. A little bit thing of note, Ryan is partnered with the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council to run a PSA campaign urging families to have conversations about early detection of Alzheimer's disease. He has a very touching video on Instagram you may want to check out, and he'll be wearing gloves that feature the Alzheimer's Association logo this weekend at Richmond, and they'll be auctioned off with all proceeds benefiting the Alzheimer's Association. So, Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? And then everybody just let's limit it to one question and make sure we get everybody in for a first rounder.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, it's I'm really excited to be working with the Alzheimer's Association. Obviously, they've been amazing to work with the past few years. And when we started our foundation, in 2018, we wanted to focus towards something that had a personal connection with us and our family. And that was Alzheimer's. My grandfather had it, and unfortunately passed away from it. And it's a pretty rough disease to watch anybody go through. So it's been an absolute privilege to get to meet a lot of great people who are directly working with the Alzheimer's Association and companies kind of involved with it that are striving to try to find ways to help fight this disease. And working with the Ad Council, I'm really excited for our public service announcement that's going to be coming out soon. And hopefully it gives a lot of people, information of where to go. If you have a loved one or you are, suffering from Alzheimer's, it's, hopefully everyone finds it very helpful. So it's an absolute honor to be with those folks. And I look forward to continuing to work with them for a long time.
Awesome. Let's kick it off with Kyle Dalton.
Hey, Ryan. So just going back to what happened on Sunday, I just curious how would you describe what happened in the final 3 overtime restarts in turn 1, and what is the solution to that? Because you hear different people taking different approaches. So is there a solution to this going forward in turn 1 at COTA?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's like a roll of the dice if that restart's going to work out for you or not, especially if you're not in the first couple rows. And I was restarting kind of in like the 10th row, even further back than that. And I had one work out for me to where guys got stoved up and another guy got spun 4 rows in front of me, and I snuck by about 9 of them. And the next restart, I got spun out, just being middle of 5, and you just are the unfortunate driver that gets turned around. We've seen that with these restart zones at these tracks. Indy and here kind of come into mind, or COTA comes into mind of long straightaways leading to a very tight corner, and everyone's always on the go button, and everyone's wanting to make spots, and restarts are the easiest place to make spots. And at those places, you have to be just a bulldog to make anything up. And my solutions, we've talked about a couple things. I feel like between the drivers, what to do, and maybe we have some momentum going forward on a couple thoughts. But my couple quick thoughts were like, okay, well, let's mount the radiators on the front bumpers. So no one destroys someone in the rear bumper, because you're going to bust your radiator. That'd be a quick fix. Or take about 80% of the bracing away from the road course and short track cars. You didn't see that with the old car, because you were worried about getting a tire rub yourself, and you're a little bit more mindful. Now these cars are just such tanks that everyone knows that they can take it, and they take advantage of it. So those are a couple of my short-term kind of cosmetic ideas, but there might be something a little bit easier going forward to try to fix that. But they're definitely crazy, and there's a lot of guys that were upset, and honestly, sometimes, it happened to me at Indy last year. I think the last restart I got turned around and pushed into one by Daniel Suarez, and I was mad at him. And then I watched the replay, and it starts like 4 guys behind him who, just bumper cars, shoves, and gets to me. And so it's like you can't even be necessarily mad at the guy right behind you because he's probably getting shoved into you by 3 cars behind him. So it's like, who the heck do you even get mad at and blame? So it's just a wild west right now over there on that side at a few of those tracks. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out for us. It was a long weekend for sure, but we'll see if we can figure something out going forward.
Thank you.
Let's kick it to Marty.
Thank you. And Ryan, appreciate the time. As someone who had a close friend with Alzheimer's, love your story and what you're doing. So entering the weekend, a lot of success early with this new Aero package. Richmond hasn't seen its best show of passing in recent years. How do you see it going down this weekend? Will drivers have a lot to deal with behind the wheel?
Yeah, well, I definitely think we're going to have a lot to deal with behind the wheel. This Aero package at COTA and Phoenix. We kind of got a decent idea about it, and I thought it was better at COTA than last year. I thought the trailing guy was, could be closer. It's kind of hard on a road course, but you can still feel it. At Phoenix, I didn't think it was too much of a change, honestly. In traffic, I thought you had your hands full a little bit more by yourself, just the lack of rear downforce. But the traffic side, I kind of let me down a little bit. I thought it was going to be a little bit better. I think it will be better at Richmond than Phoenix because Phoenix is pretty fast. And, Richmond, you're going a lot slower. Tires wear out a lot more. So hopefully that helps it out. Richmond struggled a little bit last year, I thought. So I'm optimistic on, going forward to Richmond. And then Martinsville, I think it's going to be even better yet. So, drivers are going to have their hands full by themselves trying to keep tires on it with the lack of rear grip. And I'm hopeful that the traffic side is better. I think it's going to be.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Trey Downey.
Hey, Ryan, next week, Bristol Dirt, you've got 2 top 10 finishes in the 2 races there. What do you attribute your success there so far? And do you expect the race this year to be any different than what we've seen in the first 2?
I think you're going to be able to compare this year's race to last year's. The first year we went there, inaugural events are always tough, especially when it's something that outside the box, of how you run it. And I thought we did a good job last year of changing it to a night race. Thought that helped the racetrack a lot more. It wasn't a dust bowl. I thought you can move around a little bit more in the nighttime. So going back to this year, I think this car took, the dirt track pretty well. The tire was a little better than what we had the first year. Hopefully no rain. And I hope the track widens out even more. I thought it was a lot better than the first year, as well as being wide and having some grip that you could kind of chase up the racetrack. And I hope it becomes even more so that way to where there's even more options. So we had a fast car last year, just kind of kept getting in the bad lane on the restart. I kept having to restart on the bottom. I'd lose 2 spots and then I'd still restart on the bottom. And you'd have to fight your tail off to try to get those spots back. But I'm excited to go there. Puts on a good show, and I think everyone really enjoys it. And it's something I look forward to, from last year. I look forward to it. The first year I was like, man, I don't know about this going back. It was kind of a crapshoot, but I thought last year was a big success as far as the raceability. And I think this year hopefully will be even better.
You mentioned the bottom line. Just one quick follow-up. With the choose rule in effect, how many cars do you think it'll take for somebody to take the bottom line other than the front row?
Yeah, the choose rule at the dirt track, I think, is huge that we were able to do that. It's an option that we really fought for on not only road courses, but the dirt track as well. And I think it's going to be even more important at the dirt track than road courses. I didn't think the choose rule at COTA was much different. You kind of just took the shortest lane. But Bristol Dirt, there's going to be a lot more strategy involved, I think. So, like if I'm 10th and I could possibly restart 7th, maybe I'd take it. You jump a row and you see if you can slide into a spot and get a couple spots. But I'd probably have to gain a row. But we'll just see how the track is. You kind of you kind of have your ideas, but then you see how the track restarts, and if the bottom lane is just really bad trying to get going, and the average is like a guy losing 2 spots in a row, maybe you have to be inclined to, okay, I need 2 rows to kind of make this count. But yeah, if I could gain a row, I'll probably take it right now, but I might switch up in the race.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bob Pockris, what do you got for us?
Yeah, Ryan, we often ask you guys how you race teammates, but I'm curious, after seeing what happened with Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez, how do you mend fences with teammates any different than you do non-teammates?
Yeah, I think you have to mend, those fences, and other drivers, if you get into it on the racetrack, everyone's different, but you might not put as much of an effort to mend those fences. Maybe if it's someone you're not too fond of, you might put minimal effort to mend the fence. You might mend it with a nail instead of a teammate. You're going to mend that thing with, screws and wire and maybe even a little bit of glue. So just because you're trying to work together, and at the end of the day, everybody's going to come together. No matter if you're a teammate, worst enemies, best friends, you do this enough, you're going to get into it with everybody, and intentional or not. And those things just happen. And the teammate side, we've, I've been on, Joey and I have had a couple run-ins over the years, me and Austin, and you get over that stuff. You talk about it, you get over it, and you move on from it. And, those things you have to do, I think, fairly quickly. It might, there's still probably something in the back of your head, but at the same time, you're a team. And if you got 2 teammates pissed off at each other, that doesn't help the camaraderie of the whole organization. So I'm sure those guys, got over it, but like I said, I don't know their business, but yeah, it's important to try to set things straight when you and a teammate kind of have a run-in, because you can't be walking around the race shop, and the crew members, you can't have them being mad at each other too. It's a weird situation between those guys, right? It's like, oh, my driver's mad at the teammate driver. Should we be mad at each other too? It's like, then it's a weird dynamic in the shop. So those things have to get dealt with quickly.
Is it safe to assume that your teammates better than others, so you kind of know whether they're being what's BS, what they're telling you, and what's not?
I don't know. Your teammates well, but and sometimes maybe you're like, I don't know if you're telling me the full truth or you're BSing me or not. I don't know. I think it's all kind of personal relationships with the drivers, and teammates or friends, or and things like that. So but yeah, I think you can sometimes get a decent gauge. At least it depends how good of poker faces those guys have, if you can really get a good read or not.
Thank you.
Yep.
Let's go to Dustin Long.
Thank you. Hey, Ryan, there's been some conversation about, or from some drivers, about the idea of single file restarts to try to avoid what happened at COTA. And I don't know if that would be a situation where maybe you look at it only on the road courses or COTA and Indianapolis, because of those long straightaways leading into the tight corners. But I think back to Indianapolis, like you referenced earlier, that last restart, you were 4th. So if there was a single file restart, that puts you further behind in having a chance to win a race when you're in a must-win situation or a near-win situation. And it's not going to guarantee, I would think, that somebody from behind is not going to knock you out. I guess, how do you feel about the idea of single file restarts? Is that something that can make sense? Is it something that should be looked at only for COTA Indianapolis? And at the end of the day, does it really matter? Because I'm still not sure how it would potentially would have helped you maybe in your situation. I almost think, I know you got spun, but I almost think at least going to the green, it might have put you in a worse situation, at least at the moment before.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's something we've thought about too. And it's a good observation about it. The Indy thing, yeah, you put yourself essentially in the 4th row, right? So, and your chances of winning are reduced, but your chances of getting spun are probably reduced as well. So I don't know. I mean, the single file restart is something that I've been hearing around, and and at some tracks I could see it working. Like you said, COTA, Indy, it hurts you for sure if you're 20th, right? I mean, you're lining up way behind the leader. So, that do you move the restart zone? Do you give the leader more of a opening window when to go? Like, do you at COTA, let's say, like not a lot of other sports have, or racing series have double file restarts that run road courses. But like, do you give the leader, he can go anytime between 19 and the restart zone, right? So you kind of have like a short stint, slow down, turn, and then you have your long straightaway to where it kind of gaps everybody. You're still doing double file, but it kind of gaps a little bit to where it's not everyone's nose to tail 15 rows deep, diving in there. So I don't know, there's a lot of all these, differing opinions and ideas that are floating around, and we'll see, what we come up with. But I mean, personally, from a driver standpoint, it just gets messy. I can't think that watching the end of that race was, very compelling. I mean, there was a lot of drama going on, but like, man, it took us a long time to run the final 3 laps of that thing, and there's just a lot of people's drivers getting turned and stuff like that. And is that the best look for the sport for us, of us jamming in there 5 wide every time and just bumper carring each other? No, personally, from a competitor standpoint, I don't think that's a good look for the sport. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we come up with. But there's good and bads to each, idea, I guess. So you'll have that with anything.
Real quick, does something need to be done before Sonoma? I know in years past, you guys haven't had the issue at Sonoma. And then I think after Sonoma is Chicago, which I think could present some problems potentially. Does it need to be done? Do you guys need to have something in place on what you're going to do at road courses by Sonoma, or can wait and needs to be done by Chicago?
I don't think you need to do anything for Sonoma. The way the restart zone is there, it's slow. You're going up a hill right away. Like, you don't get the 4 wide kind of thing there. So I don't think Sonoma is anything we need to be working on. I think Chicago is going to be wild no matter what you do. So I think Chicago is something we should look at for the next road course to maybe, sorry, my lawn guys are right outside, but to maybe try to switch things up. But Sonoma, I think, is a track that it doesn't really happen. So I don't think you need to address it there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey guys, we have time for a couple more. So Dustin Long, or actually, sorry, David Hoffman. Take it away.
You. Yeah, Ryan, thanks for taking the time. Just heading into Richmond, where do you feel your short track program is at in comparison to teams like Hendrick or anyone else?
Yeah, based off of Phoenix, I felt our short track program was pretty decent. We started off the race not great. We could have maybe run 7th to 10th at the start. And then by the end, I thought we could have run, 4th to 6th. So I didn't think we were a winning car at Phoenix. The Hendrick cars were good. The 4 was good. Obviously, there at the end before the last caution. So I think it's okay. Phoenix is a little bit different. You have to kind of, it's a fast short track. So Richmond will be a good gauge of where you stack up. Slow, bunch of mechanical grip, tire conservation. So I'm optimistic for it for sure. I thought we had good cars there last year, in both races from the whole team. And I'm excited to get there. Hopefully we've learned a little bit from Phoenix that we can apply over to Richmond, and keep building on that racetrack. But yeah, I think it's okay. It can always improve though. And I think we can get a little bit better.
Thanks, Ryan. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
We apologize if we didn't get to you. We'll leave it off with Mitchell, and then anybody else who still had their hand raised, be sure to reach out, and we can assist where we can. So Mitchell, it's all you.
Ryan, just curious what you thought about having no stages in last Sunday's race, and if you think that's something that NASCAR should implement at other tracks outside of road courses.
Yeah, the no stage thing, was different than anything we've had the last handful of years. It's a good thing in some areas. It hurts you in other areas. Like for us, in our situation, starting, pretty much last from messing up on Saturday, it hurt us, right? Because you don't get a caution to kind of reset and re-rack, and maybe, we would have probably obviously pitted before the stage break, or just see how many cars pit, and then tried to cycle further up in the field. It didn't have that at COTA, so it changes up your strategy a little bit. It makes it tougher for the guys who qualify in the back to kind of get up there. But I think it's good. The stage break thing jumbled up things a lot last year. And, you know, like I said, if you were struggling for speed, maybe you stay out and you get a handful of stage points, but you restart in the back kind of where you were. Or if you were a really fast car, you kind of have to bail on stage points really most of the day and try to set yourself up for the third stage. So it can help you or hurt you, kind of depending on what spot you're in. I personally enjoy it. I feel like it makes a better flow of the race, kind of more of a natural flow. And as far as stage breaks at other tracks, you know, I don't really have an opinion either way. You know, it's kind of is what it is, and I'll do whatever. But I think the road courses, I think it's better for those, just, you know, enjoying the flow of the race. So, but like I said, it hurt us at COTA, but I still think it's a better way to do the road courses.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, Ryan, thank you for joining us. And again, go check out his video on Instagram with the Alzheimer's Association, and best of luck at Richmond.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good one.